And then you see things that have happened, and as we get older, we start to like wonder more and question the things around us. Or maybe I'm just a psycho and everyone listening is like, wow, that's extreme. I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Shawn.
And this is the Call Your Dad podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Call Your Dad podcast. Today, my daughter Cassandra and I are going to talk about the difference in parenting from then and now. Then and now both being in air quotes. So let's just say that then is people my generation, Gen Z, those born between 65 and 80, I believe, like what our childhood was like compared to what childhood is like now from the perspective of the parents.
Right.
Like what was it like to parent a kid and be that kid in the 70s, 80s versus the kids nowadays that I think come out of the womb in bubble wrap, wearing bike helmets, knee pads, elbow pads, safety harnesses.
Yeah, we're super safety first. You all were safety last.
Safety was not even on the list.
It wasn't even a question.
You had to, if you went down the list, you had to get through, illegal fireworks and skateboards without safety gear before you got to anything like that. So,
cigarettes with the windows up.
Oh yeah, no car ride was ever complete unless you were in the back seat with the windows rolled up, no air conditioning, and at least one adult chain smoking. The entire trip.
So gross.
And the entire trip may be from, your home of record, like in my case, Louisville, Kentucky, to somewhere in the Panhandle of Florida for your one yearly vacation, where you risk life and limb staying at roadside motels.
Yep.
With police caution tape stretched across the door next to you, right? So a much different time. Don't know that I'm really better or worse for it, but certainly that was a qualitatively different experience than what it's like to parent children now.
Oh yeah, I definitely think. Me personally, I think because of you, I definitely am more of a strict, harder parent. But I do have some friends. And no judgment to them. Everyone is their own person. But, some friends that definitely are the gentle, they preach the gentle parenting.
Yeah.
To where sometimes they're like, whoa, are you sure that might be a little harsh? I'm like, shut up.
Yeah. So
it's fine.
Yeah. I definitely incorporated some older school parenting with you and your brother, Alexander, than perhaps some of my peer group did. And then I see it now, the way that you parent your kids, I think has some similarities to how you were parented. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people, unless you just had an absolutely, legitimately, abusive parent. You're going to want to break that chain, obviously.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but, I think about, something as simple as bike helmets. Right? Nobody had a helmet. I didn't even know they made helmets for people riding bicycles, when I was a kid. You couldn't go to Kmart and ask, hey, where's the helmets for bicycles?
Is Kmart even around anymore? Why did you reference Kmart? Is Kmart a thing? I worked at Kmart, I think, when I was 16 for a few months. That was my second job.
So in a time before instant gratification, Kmart was the place we would go where I would stand in line behind my mom where she would make a payment for something on layaway that we were looking forward to getting for Christmas, right?
Time.
So you would actually see the toy back behind the counter and my mom's like, okay, I'm here to put $7 towards this product, that we're going to get in 9 months. So there was a bit of, some patience through osmosis, in that stage of childhood.
Yeah.
But then, it's funny how your perspective can change going from, say, parent to grandparent. So my mom, like any other mom who never thought that I should wear a bicycle helmet, when I, as a parent, had Alexander on a bicycle, grandma is off to the side, that's so dangerous. He needs to have a helmet on. And I'm thinking, where were you for about 15 years of my life? And then, of course, inevitably, I fall over on this bicycle, and so I do the right thing as a dad. I roll myself to absorb the blow as I'm clutching him. He's probably 3 years old in my arms, and so I hit flat on my back. I bang the back of my head against the concrete, and then he's startled. He's not hurt, but I lift him up like, oh gosh, and I set him off to the side. And then the next thing I see is Grandma stepping over me.
To go get Alexander.
I just see like one leg goes on the right side of my body, then another leg goes on the left. She steps over me to go pick up Alexander. Like, oh no, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, well, and by the way, I'm fine. You know,
you're like,
this,
I'm.
This mild concussion, I'm sure, will subside. Let me go take a nap for a while and sleep this concussion off. You know, like that was.
But it's so funny because, like you said, Grandma, just when you were a kid, it's like, helmet. What? Why do you need a helmet?
Yeah, and so
you don't need one. You're fine.
So it's interesting. And again, I'm the same way. Like I will see you allow the kids to do things that I would have allowed you to do, but now it gives me like mild heart palpitation. Like I would pull you all behind a boat on an inner tube.
Oh gosh.
And it looks so fun. Now when like we're doing that and like Adriana, you know, my granddaughter's on the inner tube.
Or like on the back of a jet ski or something. It's like, oh.
I'm having like a mild panic attack. Like, oh, this is so unnecessary. This is such a horrible risk.
Why are you all doing this?
But you know, I think that probably just comes with a little bit of age. And then as you go through life and accumulate a number of negative experiences, the bad ones are always the first ones you can, recall. So,
well, and it's like you're almost like looking for like, okay, what could go wrong here? You have like the awareness, of just like, okay, when is the shoe going to drop?
I'm going to do by nature or nurture, maybe too many years as an Air Force pilot flying combat missions. Like I'm going to do a risk assessment on this water slide.
Yeah.
What is the probability and severity of the worst case scenarios that might manifest?
Oh my gosh.
And so that can kind of keep you safe. It could also, keep you a bit anxious
and worried all the time.
Yeah. So, I look.
Well, that's me. I'm constantly overthinking to where I'm like scaring myself into.
Oh yeah, you can talk yourself into fear for sure.
I mean, sidebar. When I was at the grocery the other day and a guy looked at me weird like twice. My instant thought was, I bet he wiped something underneath my car door handles. So like when I walked out to the car, I like took my t-shirt to like open my door again, but that's just because the overthinking, overthinking. And then you see things that have happened. And as we get older, we start to like wonder more and question the things around us. Or maybe I'm just a psycho and everyone listening is like, wow, that's extreme.
Well, I mean,
but you have to be alert.
There's plenty of creepers out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of the sensationalism of the news business, we now, in a country of 340 million people, will be hit on national news with a very odd one-off story about a person we don't know in a city we've never heard of, in a state we've never been to, about something like that happening, right? And so those types of things like get into our psyche on a pretty primal level. Yeah. And once they're in there, it can begin to...
they're not coming out.
But
anyways.
but about kids and parenting.
Yeah.
And so I think about, what my childhood was like how I was parented, where, for your 8th birthday, you might be given a chemistry set like full of lethal toxins, and the only thing you might maybe be told is, hey, just make sure you don't swallow any of this stuff. But here, go use these, fatal chemicals and play around in your bedroom with them. Or, hey, congratulations, I'm proud of you for turning 9. Here's your lawn darts and your BB gun.
Yeah.
Now you kids go out and play,
You'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah. But there was...
Now it's like, here's your iPad.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, which means for parenting...
Which kind of is like you had toxic chemicals in a chemistry set. We just have toxic junk for our minds. On an iPad.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same.
So good. That's a good juxtaposition. Like what ultimately in the long run, what's worse? The toxicity of the brain or toxicity of the body.
Yeah, pick one.
Yeah, but we were parented more like cage-free, free-range children, right? And you hear like Gen Xers talk about how they were parented. Back in my day, you would though. I would leave the house, especially like on a weekend or during the summer, and I would just be gone with all these other feral children,
Yeah.
like just roaming the landscape on our bikes. And the only thing that you really knew was a parameter was when the street lights come on, come home.
Yeah.
Right. Between now and then, if you're thirsty, mommy and daddy weren't packing, electrolyte infused energy drinks. If you got thirsty, you would find somebody who was working in their garden. In every neighborhood, every 20th house had somebody outside working. Like, excuse me, sir, can I drink out of your garden hose that's been sitting there full of water, probably baking in the sun, maybe has some parasites in it. But, I think God designed our bodies to be pretty resilient. So I wonder, like all those years later, did the routine consumption of garden hose water somehow boost my immunity
To make you healthier.
so that I've like defeated COVID 9 times, never even got a headache. Right. But then if I think about my granddaughter, Isabella, if like last night I was playing with her, like the idea of her walking over to the neighbor's house and turning on the spigot and like drinking out of the hose.
You're like,
I'd be like, oh, heck no, you can't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, go inside and get your bottle of Evian or
go get your water. We'll put some ice in it.
Yeah, no,
that's her big
parenting.
thing. She's big on ice. She's very big on ice water. I mean, I'm big on ice water, but which is funny because like when you were a kid, that you're not like, Mom, I need some ice water. She's always like, Mom, can you put some extra ice in my cup, please?
The water that you drank was whatever temperature it came out of the spigot made out of lead in your kitchen sink.
Oh man!
And half the time, growing up without dishwashers, right? Actually not true. Once I got old enough, we were the dishwashers, right? And so if you're the one washing the dishes, well, I'm not going to get another cup out. I'm just going to like cup my hands under the sink faucet and just like, drink out of that, right? So much different. And at the same time, when we were given, I think, a lot more freedom, parents gave their kids a lot more freedom than they do nowadays. We were never overscheduled. We had activities, but we might play baseball in the spring, football would start late summer, basketball in the winter.
Yeah, you all were doing school sports.
Right. My mom and dad, back then, they weren't spending tens of thousands of dollars every year to travel the country playing a year-round sport, for club ball, travel ball, going to clinics, camps, getting individual coaches. Whereas I think some number of parents now, for whatever reason, believe that, well, if I can help my kids specialize, if I can pour a lot of time and money into this specialization, then that could end up opening up scholarships and things like that. And I see the logic of it. I also see where, like some of your brother's, friends, by the time they're 14, it's almost like they're going to work. It just seemed like the kids,
like the enjoyment out of it a little bit.
It's like they almost have careers that are being so comprehensively managed that at a certain point you wonder, is this about the kid or is this about the parent?
Yeah.
Like I don't remember many parents living vicariously through their children when I was a kid. They were there. Yeah. There was plenty of jerks, male and female, in the stands. And I can look back now and think, okay, those parents were really kind of in it for themselves, but they were the exception.
Yeah.
Now it seems like more parents are so thoroughly involved in their kids, like athletics, that I don't know. Just sometimes you wonder, and because then every once in a while I'll hear a kid, say, I'm done with this. Like I'd never want to pick up a ball again. I've had so much.
They've been like pushed so much to the extreme. Yeah, I mean, you talked about overscheduling when you were a kid. And then, like I said, when we talked about on an episode before, I'm like right there in the middle. It's like I can kind of relate to your end, but then see the other side. And I feel like we started kind of when I was a kid, that was like started happening with us. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, and so like, I mean, I was a club sport kid, like
Yeah.
I loved volleyball. So like I played volleyball at school and then you all paid for me to play the
Right.
volleyball for club, which was awesome and fun. But now, and Maria, your sister Maria, my Aunt Maria, I don't want to say they're overscheduled, but I mean, she homeschools them, and she's a stay-at-home mom.
Very active, very involved.
She's like super involved. And like she has them in anything they want to do, they have it at their, I mean, so they are like in theater, they are in choir.
Oh,
they're
yeah. Very active.
The sign language interpretive dance or, like there's so many things.
I think that, goodness gracious, if anytime your child wants to engage in something that is a net positive, like on balance, like, this is good, it's good for their mental health, emotional health, physical health. As parents, you just definitely get behind that.
Yeah,
like if they want to do it.
It's our job to like do it. Yeah.
I'd rather I think there's probably more value in, as a parent, supporting your kid who wants to do one or two things than forcing them to do
27
10
things.
Mediocre things or dragging themselves to it.
Well, and it's kind of like, you always made us try stuff. Like, all right, you have to try it. And, if you don't like it. So I'm kind of the same way. Like I remember when I made Adriana try cross country.
Yeah.
And basically her dad and I were both like, well, he did it. I did it. You're going to do it too. It's good for you. And she's like, I hate running. I'm like, well, I don't care. You're going to do it. You're just going to do it. You're going to try it. You might end up loving it.
Yeah.
You're probably going to hate it. If you hate it, we're not going to do it again. Yeah. But I will say, I wonder how many, parenting then versus now, I wonder how many parents make their kids try something or do something, especially with the generation of like technology.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, well, I don't want to. Like, okay, well, we're not, he's not ready to try it. So we're not going to make him do it. Like I said, like the more gentle parenting. Whereas I think a lot of your generation is like, you're going to try it. And you're going to maybe hate it, maybe like it.
Yeah. I definitely am happy to see the like diverse variety of things that kids can get into now. Like once upon a time,
way more
there was
options.
That's right. Because not everybody wants to play football or volleyball, right?
No.
And so
even like STEM programs, like it doesn't always have to be athletics.
That's right.
There's robotics,
Yes.
there's computer, there's cooking.
Yeah, because anytime, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but as a parent, if your child is inclined towards something that on balance is a positive, why not? Most definitely support that. Now, at the same time, some amount of physical fitness, has to be entered into the equation.
Well, yeah, you have to be healthy.
Right. I mean, 75% of Americans, according to the CDC, are either obese or, clinically overweight. So some amount of physical fitness in youth is extremely important. Yeah. Because, we just know that, physiologically, if you enter adulthood having never really been physically fit, that can set up lifelong challenges. You set yourself up, Yeah, right. So
and
some
it's
amount
not
of physical
about
fitness.
looking good. It's
no.
Like,
who cares?
Who cares how you look? It's like the healthy aspect. Like, how many years do you want to live?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, not to pick on any conditions, but body positivity and type 2 diabetes, don't go well together. Like there's like physical fitness, for your health,
For your health, yes.
It should be a non-negotiable. It's not about getting more clicks on your Instagram because of your six pack. Nobody cares about that. Not even the people who click like. But so anyway, parenting, I mentioned about like chemistry sets and things like that. So we had more what you might call like kinetic toys, like things that moved, like things in motion, as opposed to here's your screen, play Candy Crush for 4 hours so you don't have to, annoy me on the car ride. So because of that freedom, you expose yourself to some more physical hazards. And, when we were growing up, we got to a certain point where my mom, grandma, would make your uncle, Jeremy, and I like pay for our visits to the emergency room if we were injured doing something that we weren't supposed to do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, good.
Like
As you should.
I'm playing. I go up to catch a ball, come down, hit my head so hard, that I get knocked out. Well, I'm playing a sport. I did not have to pay for that ER visit, right?
Yeah.
But when Jeremy and I are playing with fireworks, when I'm 13 years old, and he lights one and like throws it at me, and it goes down my shoe.
Drills a hole in your ankle.
Yeah, it like a blowtorch. It bored a hole like through my ankle, coming out like the other side.
No.
My mother had great empathy for me. She knew how much pain I was in. But when the bill came, like you're
like, this is yours.
You need to pay for this.
Yeah.
Like this is why should I pay for your stupidity? If you all are going to keep doing this to yourself. So another time, he and I got into a fight. Typical brother fight. And I was at the time a little bit bigger than him, but he got the better of me and got me off balance. And when I fell on those old school lawn chairs, the kind that had hinges with like really
like the metal
hinges with like sharp hinge points. Mm-hmm. And I put a pretty good cut in my right calf. And so, go to the ER, like, all right. And of course, on the way, he's like, you're going to pay for this. So I'm asking the ER doctor, like, what's the minimal amount you need to do to stitch this up? And I think,
can we get away with 2 stitches versus 10?
Well, that's exactly what I was asking. And so Grandma had probably already told him, like, hey, by the way, he pays for this.
Yeah.
So he looked at it and he said, well, tell you what, partner, I'm going to charge you $10 a stitch. And at a minimum, to keep it closed so it can heal on its own, you're going to need 3 stitches. And so I'm thinking at the time, I made $10 an hour per yard that I cut, or $10 a yard that I cut. So I'm thinking every stitch is like, I got to go cut a yard. So I'm like, yes, if 3's the minimum, let's just go with 3. Right. And I don't think I'm worse off for that. I don't think that, I don't think being held accountable for my stupidity was a bad thing. I probably at the time was like mad, like I can't believe my mom didn't pay for this. But there's something about learning some accountability young. It doesn't mean that I was always accountable. It doesn't mean that I didn't do dumb things.
I think when you learn it at a younger age and you're like forced to understand that, then as you get older, things are just a little less.
Yeah.
Like for example, it's like very like you don't really get offended that much. It's like you're just kind of like go with the roll, like go with the punches, like we're all living.
No.
Yeah. So it's like
I have opinions about things, but the idea that as a grown adult,
you're like offended.
I'm going to say, your words are violence and making me feel like so unsafe. Like, nah, man. I don't think you all know what violence is because sticks and stones. Come on. I mean, so I'm not
like
encouraging bullying, but I'm not going to be offended.
Well, we're always, but like the accountability where it's just kind of like, no one owes me shit. Like, I'm going to take care of it. If I make the mistake, I have to fix it. If I break something, I got to buy it. It's like, we're not looking for excuses as much.
Yeah.
Of like, well, I did this. Or I don't think I should have to do this because blah, blah, blah. Really quick though, before we start wrapping up soon, I do want to talk about the difference of, parenting then versus now. Ring doorbells.
Okay.
Ring doorbells. Like parenting back then, you're grounded. Like, we'd sneak out all the things. But then now, these kids are never going to, like, what I wonder for me, like when my kids start getting into, quote, trouble.
Yeah.
The way that I got in trouble with you, like I was sneaking out of the window or sneaking out of the door, but there was no proof.
Yeah. Yeah. So the technology now can allow for parents to organize and run their households like a North Korean police state.
No.
It's
like how I run mine.
Right. But then, technology always makes, incremental or sometimes large leaps. And so when I was a parent, you would try to get around my technological firewalls, with whatever was available at the time. Well, so now you're going to see stories, like 5 years from now, like, oh, something's got parents on their heels where children have learned with this downloadable AI app, it can mimic the imagery coming through, your Ring doorbell to make it look like nobody came in or out. Basically, the technology that they would have used like in a Mission Impossible movie, right? Like 12-year-olds will probably be able to get on an app and trick your Ring doorbell to make it look like nothing's going on.
To do it.
Yeah. And so then it's just, technology will never provide all the solutions to parenting. So back to gentle parenting versus like responsible parenting. It doesn't mean that I didn't love you all, but love shows up in a few different ways. Love means giving my kids a hug when they're emotionally hurting. It also means giving them a metaphorical kick in the rear, when they're out of line. So when people ask, well, did you all have timeouts as a kid? Like, yeah, we did. Every once in a while, my dad would take time out of his day to whip my ass if I had gotten out of line. So, right? And this is the same dad who never set me down for like a father-son talk, but his only line, like his only mantra when I was growing up was literally get tough or die. Like that was
we need to get that on a t-shirt. We need to get that on a t-shirt for everyone for Christmas. Everyone in the family for Christmas.
And this is not like a concocted line, for a podcast. Like I'm telling you, literally, my dad's only advice that ever came out of his mouth repeatedly growing up was get tough or die. Now, that advice would not be given to me like coming home from like my sister's funeral or like when my grandmother passed away. But if it was hot outside and I was helping him rotate the tires in the driveway and I started to whine about sweat getting in my eye, it would be, you just hear a muffled voice underneath the car, well, you better get tough or die. And so like eventually, I guess I just kind of took, it settled in.
All right.
And so, years later, I think about being on deployments where we're living in tent cities out in the desert, flying combat missions at night, trying to sleep in the heat during the day, drinking water, out of bottles, eating meals ready to eat, food that comes in paste form.
Ugh.
You could tell the guys that were raised in a get tough or die household versus the guys whose mom and dad wanted to be their best friends, because those guys would come in like, oh my God, it's so hot. I'm so dirty. It's so sandy. The wind won't stop blowing. I'm tired. Like, golly, dude, get tough or die. Like, we live here too. Like, we do not want to hear you whine about it.
We know. We know it sucks.
So I think one of the best things my parents did for me is not allow me when I was 8 to act like I was 5. When I was 13, to not act like I was 8. When I was 17, to not act like I was in 7th grade. I didn't appreciate it at the time.
We never do.
Yeah, I know I didn't, right?
No,
but,
I didn't either.
But I guess my parents came from that generation where they did not think it was their job to be my friend.
Yeah,
there's 8 billion people on the planet. I could be friends with any of those. Their job was to be my mom and dad, and I'm thankful, for that. So
same, I agree.
All right. Well, any closing comments before we wrap this one up?
I mean, the only thing really it's just interesting to see, the differences then, now, and honestly, I'm very curious. Like when I'm your age, when I'm old, when I'm very old. What's the difference? I'm just kidding. What the difference will be, though? Just. Yeah.
No, it is. The goalpost shifts because somebody that was born 200 years ago, if they were to hear me talk about my childhood, they'd be like, man, you are a candy ass. Like you had roofs and food, like you're soft, man. So the goalpost shifts. And so I hear now parents say, oh, little Johnny or little Janie, she's in big trouble. She got in so much trouble. So for a week, we told her, no phone, no iPad, no Disney Plus, no Xbox. And I'm thinking, so basically your form of punishment is to make them for 7 days live my entire childhood. Like you just defined like my entire youth, right? But like that's considered a punishment.
Yeah.
Like we're going to make you live like it's 1980. Like, well, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, when you
That's
are
funny.
at the advanced age of 51 like me, the goalpost will have shifted. It'll be interesting to see what parenting is like when today's 10-year-olds are 30. So
Yeah.
it's going to be different
Yeah,
for sure.
oh, for sure.
All right. Well, everybody, listen, thank you so much again for tuning in and hearing us banter back and forth about the differences in parenting. Looking forward to you guys coming back to our next Call Your Dad podcast. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode.
Yes, please make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.
See you next time.